Men at Work podcast, you're with your host Julian Leahy. Today I'm joined by the fantastic Jerry Potter, Sarah Thompson and Lindsay Donnelly. Welcome to the show, guests.
Thank you.
Hello.
Alright, we're going to play Jeopardy and then we're going to meet our fantastic guests. So, to kick things off, how about we load up the game. And on the left there, Sarah, you can kick things off. The categories are fairy tales, insects, Las Vegas, nuts, and potent potables, which I think is drinks and cocktails and things. What would you like, Sarah?
Let's go with Fairy Tales for 100.
Fairy Tales for 100. The Ugly Duckling was autobiographical for this shy author. I've heard of The Ugly Duckling, but who knows who wrote it? Nobody knows. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
It is Hans Christian Andersen. He did Hansel and Gretel and all of that stuff. He considers.
How do we buzz in?
You just holler.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was looking for a button or something, a hotkey.
I had
All right,
buzzers early on. It was too difficult. All right,
Okay,
now you're
sounds good.
still in control, Sarah. What would you like?
Okay, well, let's try Fairy Tales for 200.
Fairy Tales for 200. When Rapunzel did this, it wasn't her way of being informal.
I have an idea.
Go shoot.
What is Let Down Her Hair?
Let down her hair is correct. Sarah is on the board. Well done, Sarah, and you're still in
Nice.
control.
Okay, well, let's go for Fairy Tales for 300.
Fairy Tales for 300. Not I, said the duck and the cat and the dog when she asked them, who will thresh the wheat? Cat, dog, duck. Maybe, I don't know. Wasn't there a chicken? There's got to be a chicken. I'm not sure. Let's take a look. It was the little red hen. Thought it was a chicken.
You were right.
Kind of right. I don't know. I would have accepted my own answer there. All right, Sarah, you're still in control.
Let's go Insects for 100.
Insects for 100. What's done to a pesky mosquito, or an acronym for a police special
Got
weapons
it.
team?
Uh,
Who yelled first?
I think it was my colleague. Yeah.
We think
Either way.
We think it might be Jerry. Jerry, what's your
Okay.
answer?
SWAT.
SWAT is correct. Well done. You're in control, Jerry.
All right. I'm in Arizona, not far from Las Vegas, so let's take Las Vegas for 100.
Las Vegas. The Sands Frontier Desert Inn and Landmark Hotels were once owned by this mysterious billionaire. Now, this is from the 80s, this particular episode of Jeopardy, so... Well, if you know anything about the history of Las Vegas, who were the kind of big billionaires? There's that Steve Wynn guy. Is it Steve Wynn or Steve someone?
Yep. Wynn.
Who else? Bugsy someone? Bugsy Siegel? I don't know.
They don't put their name on the
No
hotel.
idea.
I don't know.
They
their
don't,
name.
do they? Let's take a look. It is Howard Hughes. Now, he's the guy that had the planes, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he was a recluse. Isn't it that guy?
I knew the
Yep.
answer, but I kept having Hubert Humphrey in my head, and
Oh,
I
you had
couldn't
the H's.
remember his name. I was like, I know who this
Oh,
is.
that happens all the time in this game. All right, Steve, you're still in control.
Jerry. I'll
Sorry.
take Las Vegas for 200.
Steve
That's
Wynn.
all right. I can be Steve.
Yes.
Whatever works.
Steve
for you,
Wynn, the
Julian. I'll
billionaire.
take-
All right, go
yes,
on.
Las Vegas for 200.
Las Vegas for 200. Appropriately, you'll find the Appian Way at this hotel casino on the Strip. Circa 1985. You would. I'm sure it's still there. The Appian Way at this hotel casino on the Strip. What's Appian mean? Is that like some sort of
No idea.
Native American thing? Who knows?
Well, I know where the
Proximity's not
Appian Way
helping.
is.
Oh,
but-
you know
so
where it
I'll-
is.
Well, let me just guess here.
Go
I
for
don't
it.
know Las Vegas casinos, but let's say the Roman.
It is Caesar's Palace. Is that what you meant, the Roman?
That's what I was. That's where I was.
Because Caesar was a Roman.
which is
Is this-
Appian Way was in Rome.
Ah, there you go. Is there still a Roman hotel casino?
It's Caesar's Palace. I guess I
Yes.
could see the connection there.
All right. Well, Caesar's Palace, yeah. Roman. I can't actually give you that. I've got to be strict. Sorry. All right, Steve. Jerry, not Steve. Jerry, you're in control.
I'll be the billionaire. I'll take insects for 200.
Insects for 200 completes a Ben Franklin phrase.
Got it.
Here, Scug lies snug.
Got it.
Go.
As a bug.
Is-
What is?
Oh, snug
Good.
as a bug. Yeah, and that's correct.
Yeah.
In a rug, even. But that's.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to pay that one. I've actually said that before. Snug as a bug in a rug. All right, you are now in control, Lindsay.
Let's go with fairy tales for 400.
Fairy Tales 400. To become the Sleeping Beauty, the princess pricked her hand on this part of the spinning
know.
wheel. Shoot.
What is a spindle?
Yes.
A spindle is correct. Well done, Sarah. You're in control.
How about nuts for 100?
How about nuts? A triangular shaped nut grown in North America and Europe, or a brand of baby food.
Oh, I know.
Go.
What is beech nut?
Beech nut is correct. Look out, here comes Sarah.
Okay, more nuts for 200, please.
More nuts for 200. America's leading pecan
Got
growing
it.
state. Go.
Got it. Where's Georgia?
Where is Georgia? It is correct. Well done. You're in control, Lindsay.
All right, let's go with nuts for 300.
Nuts for 300. This variety of nut is grown only in the country it's named for and
Oh, I got it.
adjacent
What is-
lands. Somebody give me an answer.
Got it.
What is
Brazil nut.
Who said it?
Lindsay?
Lindsay.
Yeah.
It was like Sarah said the first bit and Lindsay said the second bit.
Yeah.
Brazil
Sorry,
nuts
Sarah.
correct.
No, you got it.
Lindsay's got it. Everyone's being polite, I think. Lindsay, go.
Who knew that I knew nuts so well? I didn't.
I knew that I didn't know nuts at all.
That's funny.
All right.
Okay, so let's do nuts for 400.
Stay on the nuts. In
Yeah.
order to produce this green kerneled nut, male and female trees must be
Oh,
near
and
each
What are
other.
pistachios?
Good.
All right, we've got Jerry over there. Let's take a look. The pistachio. Well done, Jerry.
That's the only green one. Let's go back to insects for 300.
Insects for 300. It's the shortest route taken back to the hive.
What is a beeline?
Oh,
Mm,
brilliant.
Nice.
Nicely
Well
done.
done,
Is that right?
Jerry.
Okay.
Now that's
Let's do
where
insects.
We get that from Beeline.
400.
400
Yeah, I didn't know that about bees, but
insects. The actual title of Jimmy Crack Corn.
Oh, what is blue tail fly?
What is blue tail fly is correct. Well done, Sarah. You're in control.
All right, let's do insects for 500.
Insects for 500. Of its varieties, the atlas is one of the largest, and the death's head hawk chirps by blowing its nose.
Oh, what is cricket?
Let's take a look. They're moths, actually.
Oh.
Actually, the death's head moth was in Silence of the Lambs, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. You're still in control, though. Or whoever was. Sarah, I think.
That was
Sarah.
me. Let's do fairy tales for 500.
Fairy Tales for 500. It lay in the house that Jack built. Is this Jack? So there's Jack and
A lot of
Jill,
Jacks.
Jack and the Beanstalk.
The
Yeah.
house that Jack built, which is different.
The house that Jack built. Who knows? I'm going to have a look.
Can't remember.
It was the, let me just make that bigger, the mate, M-A-I-T, the malt. The malt. Or the, yeah,
Oh, the malt.
yeah, the malt, like in milkshakes, I think. Wow. Didn't know that one. All right, still in control, Sarah.
Let's go nuts for 500.
Let's go nuts. 500 in the musical South Pacific. Bloody Mary was said to chew these nuts which blackened the teeth. You know, if you've ever been into any of the Pacific Islands, Fiji and all that, and Papua New Guinea and so on, and you'll see
What is the beetle nut?
That's the one I'm looking for. Gets you a little bit high, I think. Or maybe it's just like having a coffee. You're in control now, Sarah.
All right. Let's do potent potables for 100.
Potent potables for 100 for wines. It never means the opposite of wet.
What is dry?
Dry is correct. Well done, Sarah.
Let's do potent potables for 200.
200. Bacardi, America's single best-selling brand of liquor, is
What
this
is
time.
rum?
What is rum? The resident booze hound has got that one correct. Sorry about that. I couldn't resist. Lindsay.
Potent potables for 300.
Potent potables for 300. This series built around wine currently makes your TV a potent portable. Oh my God, this is one of those questions that I should have checked. This is from the 80s, so who knows? I mean, who even watches TV these days? Let's just take a look. If anyone knows, I'll give you a chance. Series built around wine. It was called Falcon Crest. Oh my God, that's an old show.
Never.
Do you remember that? And then have a girl with like big blonde hair. I only saw the reruns. All right, continuing on. You're still in control. Lindsay, I think.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Potent potables for 400.
Potent Potables 400. Brooklynite Jenny Churchill Winston's mother created this whiskey and vermouth cocktail. Wow, she was from Brooklyn.
Oh, what is the Manhattan?
The Manhattan is correct. Well done.
Turns out I am a booze
I'm
hound.
so sorry. Now every
You
time
didn't
you
know,
get it
Julian.
right, it just rubs it in. All right, you're still in control. Should we finish off the
All right.
booze?
Yes. Yes, please. Top shelf.
Slivovitz is a brandy made from this fruit.
What is plums?
Plums. Let's take a look. Plums is correct. Well done. Was that Sarah or Lindsay?
Yeah, that was me.
Well done.
Let's go Las Vegas 300.
Las Vegas 300, the smallest denomination of coin that can be played.
What
in
is a penny?
Las Vegas slots. Penny is correct. Well done, Jerry.
Certainly in the 80s. I don't know about now.
Still, I checked on that one. They still do.
You'll have penny slots? Okay.
Yeah, they still have them.
Las Vegas for 400.
Las Vegas 400, sparkling nickname for Fremont Street in downtown Las Vegas. Okay, this is an obscure. It's a nickname for the strip. The first word is glitter. Second word starts with a G.
Glittering gem. What is glittering gem?
It is Glitter Gulch, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of that?
No.
No.
I've never heard it called that.
It's still on the Wikipedia page as the nickname, so I did check that one too. All right, last question. Pastoral meaning of Las Vegas in English, inappropriate to its desert locale. Pastoral meaning. So what is the pastoral? As in, pastoral means kind of religious, I think, or farming. What do you reckon? There's pasta,
What are the stars?
the stars.
Hmm.
Inappropriate to its desert locale.
I don't think that's it.
The ponds?
Let's take a look.
Water?
It is the water something. It's got to be the meadows. So they meant pastoral,
Meadows.
as in
Got
farmland.
Pasture.
Yes, well done. Let's take a look at the scores. Sarah on 2,200, Lindsay on 1,300, and Jerry on 1,100. A close game and a good game. Let's have a round of applause for our guests. Well done. That was a fun game.
Yeah.
Good questions. All right, Sarah, I'm going to turn the music off and we're going to throw it over to you. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to. You had a bit of a health crisis which caused you to make some changes. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia in 2010. And while I at that time was very naturally minded, I was trying to treat it myself. I was not able to, and I did end up going into conventional care and ultimately had a bone marrow transplant. But at that time, I learned about homeopathy, and I got very clear that as soon as I was done with my active cancer treatment, that I did not want to stay in the medical system. And so I used homeopathy to recover fully from bone marrow transplant. And when that was so effective for me, I went to school for it. And that's how I became a certified classical homeopath. And then I rolled in what I call shamanic coaching, which is really the container that helps people go through a process of that kind of sickness and healing. So that's what I do. I work with all different kinds of conditions on the physical, mental, and emotional plane. And that's how I came to it, was through my experience with homeopathy, with leukemia and bone marrow transplant.
Interesting. I thought that your experience might make you go the other way and become a evangelist for scientific medicine.
Well, what I understand now is that what we call in homeopathy, we talk about different totalities. And when you get to the point in a disease state where there is a pathology that's really severe and active and aggressive, imagine that your health is an orchestra and the timpani player has gone nuts and is no amount of support for those gentler instruments is going to bring the timpani into harmony. And so you work with a very small totality. It's on the level of if you need surgery because you have gangrene. There is a time and place for that. But what happens in the medical system is that there is only a hammer, so everything's a nail. So the understanding of, well, why did you get cancer in the first place? And what does it mean to get to a state of health where you don't end up getting cancer again? Because I actually relapsed during my process. That is where I realized that I needed to understand what health and disease truly were. And that's what took me out of the paradigm that I had been in, which was thinking, well, I'm going to be green about this, but I'm still thinking the disease needs to be killed. I shifted into understanding when you have to be aggressive and surgical about a problem, but then how you deal with the holistic baseline so that you get to the deeper level of healing. That was the trip for me.
And how do you, if somebody's interested in having a chat to you about some of these things, how do you work with people?
So anybody can go to nodrughealth.com and sign up for a free introductory session where I find out what would true healing look like to you? What are your goals? What is it that if we wave the magic wand, what does life look like when you heal? And so we have that conversation for free and talk about what are the different offerings that I have and how might that meet those goals for you.
And what sort of people do you work with generally?
So a lot of people come to me with digestive issues. They come to me with neurological issues like migraines. They come to me because they want to get off medication for anxiety and depression. Or they come to me because they have chronic skin issues or any kind of chronic issue where the medical system is failing them. Those people then come to me and say, I feel like I want a better quality of life. And we look at how to get their bodies to heal to the point where they aren't needing medication for those things.
Yeah, I mean, I do think we overprescribe quite a bit in medicine, and like one of my kids, they were really trying to put him on amphetamines for ADHD and all this sort of stuff, and I just really think we just do it too easily, and things like antidepressants. A few years ago, I used to take antidepressants, And it's just like, is it really necessary? I'm sure it is in a lot of cases, but I just feel like it gets thrown around. And there are other things you can do to improve your health. Things like exercise and some of the things you're talking about, Sarah. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you want to explore some of the other ways of, becoming healthier, have a chat with Sarah. And you, is it like one-on-one type coaching over the internet, or how does it work?
Yep. So I'm fully remote, and homeopathy is a very specific, complete system of medicine that's over 200 years old. And I am working individually, holistically with you to select homeopathic remedies to stimulate your body to heal. And so we're doing a 2-hour intake consultation and then following up and communicating and midwifing that process along.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for sharing your story and what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best of luck with it. And I'm going to cross over to Lindsay now. Now, something I am a little bit more versed in. Community marketing. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get into this area, and what are you doing with it?
Yeah, so I went to school for photojournalism in college, and after I got out of college, I was like, well, photojournalism isn't gonna be a thing for much longer because everyone has iPhones and no one's gonna pay a professional photographer at the news. So I left photojournalism around the time that iPhone became super popular and everyone with a smartphone wanted the best camera. And I went into corporate. But after I had my first child, I actually experienced postpartum depression, and that kicked me into a whole life change phase where I knew I needed to restructure what I was doing. And part of that was creating community through photography. So I started using the app Instagram, which many of us know and use and love, and created a community for postpartum mothers like myself. Grew that community to 10,000 followers. I think now it's probably around 12,000 followers. And really put on a ton of events in person, did collaboration, did a lot just to help other young mothers going through their matrescence to becoming a mother. And that's how I really cut my chops on building community and what it takes to build a thriving community. And I decided to help bring that to brands because so many small businesses were struggling with how they could use social media to their benefit. And so I combined the experience that I have with building real human communities and the online content creation aspect to bring that to brands to create really thriving, loyal customers, promoters for your company.
So it all kicked off with your Instagram, and what was the kind of key catalyst for momentum with your Instagram where you started to go, oh my God, I think I've worked this out. This is going to work.
Yeah, I think that's where the community piece comes in because for me, my Instagram wasn't about me or my journey. My Instagram was a reflection of the community. I used to curate what other people were doing and put it out on the Instagram channel. So it's a unique way to look at using social media where you're not just talking about yourself and your journey, but it's actually cultivating stories and interaction from the community and sharing that back to them.
Interesting, yeah. Putting the spotlight on other people, and then they say, "Oh,
Yes.
look at this wonderful person talking about me," and they share you with all of their followers. And what type of things would you share? Like, would you just kind of talk about what they're doing? I mean, what would you put on there that would sort of get interactivity, engagement?
Well, in the beginning, this was, around 2017, I started this and videos weren't really a thing. So over the first couple years, we were just doing, I would call it mom in the wild shots, where I'd see a great mom, dad, caretaker, and say, hey, you're doing such a great job today. Can I take a photo of you and your kid? And for people who were working jobs to then transition into maybe full-time caretaking, it's such an isolating experience. And oftentimes the only person you're talking to in a day is a toddler. And so just getting that public recognition is kind of like this pat on the back that you don't get in the isolating times of raising young kids at times. Whereas if you're, climbing the ladder, you're working jobs, you're constantly getting praise and ranks and all these fun things that we put together for the work environment. But in the parenting environment, those don't exist. So that was our fun way of kind of giving them a high five. And then, of course, with Instagram Reels and TikToks, we migrated into videos. And videos obviously became about relatable content. So not perfect and polished. Again, not sharing one person's story, but really focusing on the unique depth of different stories within motherhood, and then showcasing diverse groups of people.
And when you would find these people in the wild, were they just out and about, like at the shops and stuff, and you would take photos of them? You might get pepper sprayed if you did that in my city.
Yeah. So in the U.S., or where I was living in Jersey City, obviously you have to be good at creating community, right? I did have to approach these people and say, hey, like, I love what you're doing. Here's what I'm doing. Is it okay? And really tell but that just created more promoters for the account, right? Because they knew there was a real person behind it and they knew my intention. And so, it wasn't like without consent or permission. It was always with permission. And then the cool thing was I also built a team. So it wasn't just coming from my perspective, but it was, multiple people out in their day-to-day life, sort of spreading this joy and positivity.
It's very interesting, Lindsay, and not many people think to go. I mean, you're going out there to build your own online brand by actually going out in the streets and talking to people. It's a real ground roots approach. It's very interesting, and now you help people build their own community. And what do you do in that regard?
Yeah, I think the first thing is getting really clear about what your brand community statement is, what your brand's mission is, what you connect with your consumer on above and beyond your product being the best or your service being the best. What is that human thread that connects you to your community members, whether or not they buy from you or not? And you can really establish that common ground. Establishing that common ground is so important, because once you figure out what that driving force is, then your community can run with it. And you can imagine so many different ways to activate, to collect stories, to create content, to put on events around that sort of overarching humanitarian, if you will, desire for your company.
And what sort of things do you do? I mean, you have a discovery call. Just say somebody's interested in this, and they say, look, I want to grow this or grow that. What happens next? Do they then, do you do weekly webinars? Do you have a course? How does it all work?
No, so we're a full service agency. We are a do it for you, get it done. You can be as involved or as not involved as you want to be. I think one of the things, of course, this is authentic to me. My 5-year-old is bumping the table, so that's why my computer keeps crashing, because he's hearing it.
Sounds like you got a baseball team in there.
Does it? Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, gosh.
Adds authenticity.
It's just one 5-year-old.
So you got an all-in-one full-service agency, and do you specialize in one particular thing? Is it Instagram, or what do you specialize in?
Instagram and TikTok are our bread and butter, and we can do email marketing as well and event-based marketing. Those things go really nicely hand in hand. And so really we want to look at a whole community strategy. So you've got community content and performance tied in together, because at the end of the day, your brand has to make money and marketing has to provide those KPIs. So we do like to have really a cross-channel strategy that enables both this humanitarian sort of community strategy as well as delivers you the results that you need from a sales standpoint.
And who do you work with? What type of person would be the best fit that you think you could get the best results for them?
Yeah, so we obviously love working with brands in the baby and kids sector. So if you have, a legacy brand, you've been around 20 plus years, and you're wondering how you can reach more Gen Z parents, we can help you with that. We can get your community growing, and Gen Z really cares about what your company stands for and that mission. They're really choosy about who they choose to spend their money with, and especially new parents, where they are really questioning and researching every single decision they make for their child and what they're buying. So we love helping older companies reach the Gen Z new parents, and then also any new brands who want to launch into the American US parent market. It's very competitive, but we have all the connections to make you a success.
Wonderful. I accidentally just triggered the applause sound effect. So when you listen to it, just ignore that, or just say, yeah, that was a good comment I made. Well, that's great. Thank you very much for sharing that. And if you're interested in getting into Lindsay Donnelly's world and building a social media presence, Lindsay has successfully done it. That's a key thing, is with a lot of marketing people, they really haven't done it themselves, and they just, so it's good to have somebody that actually has built up a presence online, because they know how to do it. So thank you, Lindsay Donnelly.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to pop over to Jerry Potter. Jerry's been patiently sitting there. Time Freedom Podcasting for Entrepreneurs. How did you get into the world of podcasting, and why did you discover that it was a good thing to do?
Well, first of all, just let me say this room is awesome. Traditional healthcare is a disaster, and so I love the idea of homeopathy, and community is everything as we're going into this AI content flood of a world. So anyway, I just wanted to be like cheering as everyone was talking, but I didn't want to mess anything up. So I had for me to get where I am now, I had to get fired 3.5 times. So for 20 years, I worked as a radio presenter or personality, as we call them here in the US. And my wife and I did a show together, and we got let go from 3 times in 5 years. Not because we did anything scandalous or because the ratings were bad or anything like that. Ratings were good. We were making money, but all of a sudden they said, hey, we're flipping to Spanish, habla español. And it was like, un pequeño, like not enough to do Spanish radio. And so this industry kept changing, and we kept getting bounced out of a job, even though we were doing well. And so I ended up, my favorite part of social media of radio the last 8 years that I was in it was the social media part, which had become about half of our job. So I left, I got a job at a startup social media agency, and everything was going fine. I was loving what I was doing. I was still, I realized I'd been a lifelong content creator. It was now just on a different platform. And one day my boss took me out for what was supposed to be a celebratory lunch. And she said, we're bringing out all these new clients, and they're bigger than the ones we have. And I looked at her and I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Who's going to manage these new clients? And there was this awkward pause. And then she looked at me and she said, well, you are. And I said, I'm already working over 40 hours a week. We talked about work-life balance when you hired me. I had 2 kids under 5 at the time. And she said, well, I need you to take on these new clients or I can't keep paying you. And it was in that moment that I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose another job. And I went home and talked to my wife about it and kind of freaked out. We just bought a house. Anyway, fast forward, my wife, who's very blunt, said, you like to figure things out, figure it out. So I had to figure out how to get more efficient with content marketing. And I did. And I started doing less and being more strategic, and it started working. A couple of years later, I started teaching what I was figuring out on YouTube, because I thought, oh, other people might want this kind of stuff. Because back in 2015, when I was at the agency, the only online education there seemed to be for social media was if you were a full-time marketer. There was nothing for small business owners. And it was just kind of a fun hobby. And then it took off. Next thing you know, there were 10,000 subscribers, then 100,000 subscribers. And now we've grown to over 150,000 subscribers in our community. And so it's the entrepreneurship was sort of accidental for me. But after the channel got to a certain point, I realized the time freedom and the, location freedom that I have because I run an online business. So earlier this year, to get to what you asked, I saw this opportunity for podcasting for entrepreneurs. I think podcasting is the new social media. Podcasting has been around for a long time. I had one in 2005, but now Spotify has polls and different things you can add to actually make them social. And on YouTube podcasts and YouTube Music, you can comment on them. And so now they're finally becoming more social whereas traditionally it was like, hey, if you want to say something about the show, send us an email here. They're really becoming a lot more social. And so that combined with what the social media platforms are doing and looking for, and the trust that gets built and the authority that gets built through podcasting, I just think for anyone who is an online expert, it is the best opportunity possible. So earlier this year, we started helping people build podcasts in the same way that we built radio shows. And we build them out of modules. And so we started calling them Modcasts. And so now my wife and I have started this agency and training called Modcast Marketing.
Awesome. Well, you just made me realize that what that poll thing is when I upload a podcast and I just ignore it. Maybe I shouldn't be ignoring it. Well, that's very exciting. And what is the approach to podcasting that you teach people? Like, what's modcasting? How is it different?
Well, it was kind of accidental because I actually had this period at the end of 2022 to the beginning of 2023, and people kind of said the economy was dipping then, but my income went down 70% in 4 months. And earlier the year had been great. I'd been, things had been well. I'd raised some prices, had new clients, had new students and members because I have courses and memberships. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And so we actually started with, let me do a live show every week to kind of build more trust and things like that to nurture people faster. So it wasn't going to be a podcast. It was just going to be a live show. And then I started, it was like, well, I've already making this thing. I might as well make it a podcast as well. And it all kind of branched out from there. And so the module-based approach started because it was a live show. But the main differences are a traditional podcast, which this is not. Obviously, you're doing something very unique here with the game show and everything. But a traditional podcast, you pick your topic and you've got your core content. And then at the end, what I found was a lot of podcasters would throw away their call to action. So they'd be like, by the way, if you want to work with me or go get my freebie or whatever. And as an entrepreneur, that's the most important part. So I learned very actually late in radio about how important it is. In radio, we had hundreds of thousands of listeners. And so we could just say, hey, call now if you want. And somebody would call. But if you actually get strategic about how you ask people to do things and how, the approach you take and all of that, many more people will call. People will call for an hour is kind of what we learned in radio. So we started applying that to what we call a conversion module. Your core content then becomes part of it. We have the beginning we call a confirmation module, which is a very specially designed framework to get people not just to listen to the episode, because they've started playing it now, but to like lean in and really want to listen. We have another module that we teach that goes at the end of the show that's called a TSL module, which stands for time spent listening, which was a radio term. And it's kind of this super module because what it is its own standalone piece of content that somebody who listens to your main episode would want to hear. So what happens is they end up listening through the whole episode because you've got something extra for them at the end. But more than that, they also end up listening to your conversion module or your call to action. I don't know how many of us here in the room have gotten to the point where we're like, all right, that's today's show. And by the way, if you want to, and we go, okay, next episode. So this keeps them through. And it's designed to become repurposed as a social media clip to go up as a YouTube short, an Instagram reel, a TikTok video, or a Facebook reel, which are the only platforms where you can consistently reach new people on social media. So that's a really fast, high-level overview. But the whole idea is your podcast has a job and it's designed to do a bunch of things. It should not just be one thing. It should grow your audience. It should generate leads. It should grow your authority. It should become all your social media content. And so far, it's just been working really, really well for us and our clients.
Yeah, so it sounds like kind of like copywriting for podcasts because, when you're writing sales copy, for example, you want to have something, that catches attention at the beginning, makes them read through to the end. And basically you're talking about, because you're experiencing commercial radio where they have all those metrics that they're measuring to get the most, interaction for the advertisers and all of that, and you're applying it to podcasts. Would that be a fair summation, Jerry?
I think copywriting is absolutely a big part of it, and I'm a huge psychology geek. And so there's a lot of that goes into it because, again, getting somebody to download your podcast does nothing for your business, right? Getting somebody to listen to the first 30 seconds does nothing for your business, but we want them to listen to the whole thing and build loyalty and all these other things. And so, the cheap version of it sounds like, so you're just chopping your show into pieces, and it's basically it's making these pieces where the sum of them is stronger than each one of them individually. They all work together. They all, work together. And in radio, what our goal was to have a level of loyalty where, people would say, I was late for work today. I got in trouble with my boss, but I didn't want to turn off the radio because of what you were talking about. And so we want to bring that to podcasts as well.
Yes, I was late and I got fired, and now you need to help me get better at marketing.
Yes. Sometimes we'd hear terrible things. I had to tell my kids to shut up so that I could hear what you were saying. And it's like, hey, don't do that. That's not what we're looking for here.
I'll clip that bit. Yeah. So what happens here, Jerry, if people go through to your landing page? What's on the other side?
The best place to go if you are interested in just this idea of, Modcast marketing is designed to give you time freedom. If you're just interested in time freedom, go to YouTube, search for Jerry Potter. I should come up. If you're interested in the podcasting specifically, you can go to modcastmarketing.com/learn. And there's a free on-demand video training where we go a little bit deeper into how the modules work and stuff like that.
And do you work with people generally that have an established podcast, or are they newbies and they want to get a good podcast going?
So far, it's been about 75% people who don't have a podcast yet, 25% of people who do. When we first started, we thought, this is going to be, we're going to help podcasters. We had one client who'd put out 180 episodes and never knew if she got a lead from it or not. And now she's at episode 200. She's maxed out her coaching. She's got a wait list, and she started a group program. So it works really well either way. As long as if you're an existing podcast, you're willing to go, all right, I'm open to changing things. There's that sunk cost bias when people have been doing things for a long time where we're afraid to change what we're doing. But yes, it's been about 75-25, but it absolutely works both ways.
Interesting. Well, podcasting is great. And if you want to get yourself into a podcast, but also do it the right way, where you're actually making sure you're kicking goals with it, have a chat to Jerry Potter. Check out his YouTube. He's got tons of content on YouTube. You can learn all about him. Thank you very much, Jerry Potter, and all of our wonderful guests. I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you for listening and watching. See you next time.